This is the south-facing wall. It's a wall traditionally in walled gardens where they fruit tender nature. We've got grapes on this wall, we've got figs, we've got nectarines, peaches. They've all been trained in the fan system, which is what they used to do. And I've got to keep post. Yeah. They will go up these wires. You tie canes to these wires, and the shoots go up the wires. I'll show you further on this one here. It's a 2-year-old bush. This is an apricot, which is why it's more forward than the rest. These branches here will be trained up canes, and they will be up in a fan system. And eventually, all these along here will be that way. And then we've got in this section. This is our soft fruit section. We've got strawberries, raspberries, autumn raspberries, gooseberries, blueberries, tayberries, blackberries, 2 sorts of gooseberry, red currants and white currants, black currants and rhubarb, and we intend to reproduce that block there in this block here in this quarter. The whole garden is split into quarters. We're doing the traditional veg system with 3, i.e. you've got roots and carrots, beetroot, potatoes, etc. You've got peas, beans, onions, etc. and brassicas in another quarter, and they'll obviously be moved around every year so that you're not creating problems for yourself with disease, etc. We've got a beehive in the corner which we'll avoid because they're probably working quite hard this weather. On this wall, which is the east-facing wall, we've got sweet cherries, plums, damsons, and down at the bottom we've got apples and pears. The apples and pears will be trained in the cordon way French system, which is, as you can see there, you've got a large amount of trees in a small area. They're about 1.5 foot apart, grown on a 45-degree angle, and consequently you can get quite a few. Then you spur prune them in the summer just to keep them as a block going up the wall. Fan ones obviously have got more room. They've got 18 feet usually the distance between them, and they will join eventually. So that is why they're so far apart. This is the north-facing wall, where traditionally speaking you grew Morello cherries. It's about the only thing other than I've learnt by reading that they used to grow cordon red currants and gooseberries on these walls and try and keep them until November, which I found rather startling, but they used to protect them from the weather. They also used to pick off the mouldy fruit, but they reckon they could keep them until November, so I'm going to try some of that in the winter, take some cuttings from our plants over there, and then train some of those up the wall. But that's if we get time. Red onions, ordinary white onions in here, and spring onions. I don't know whether you can see these things out the wall here. What these were used for was protection. They used to have sort of a big curtain on here, which they would have drawn across, obviously, when they were protecting, so they could protect the blossom when the trees were out in blossom, and they go all the way around. Yes, this is one of the drawbacks of this particular garden, is all the stones. This is our brassica bed. Put all these in 2 weeks ago. You can see the protection on there because we do get a lot of trouble from birds here. As you can imagine, you can hear the things over there. And we're coming up with the chickens in here, which has got about 40 to 40 chickens in there. And they're Calder and black something or others. I'm not too up on chickens, I'm afraid. Anna will tell you if you particularly want to know. 2 site types anyway.
You get about, what is it, 25 eggs, was it?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. I think you get sort of 2/3 of the number. And coming up now to the early potatoes. It's looking quite good. They were frosted a couple of weeks ago, but they've seemed to have recovered, and our main crop potatoes are next door them. The whole reason for doing this is to actually make sure we've got enough produce to supply 40 people this year with boxes, the vegetable boxes. So it's all a bit of a trial this year, but we're keeping a record of everything we grow so that we can decide whether either we've grown too much or not too much, not enough.
Yeah.
So that's the plan. These south-facing walls, it has been they've experimented on sort of what sort of heat they produce, and there is actually an experiment they tried. They put a thermometer in each wall, waited till the sun was actually shining on both sides, as it were. They worked out it's 13 degrees difference between this. That's old money. Between this wall and the north-facing one, which is consequently why all the sort of that sort of fruit is on this wall. Now, let me tell you about these gaps in this wall. You can see it's hollow, and what they did, if you see here, there's a row of bricks going the other way there. There's one there. There's one there. And there's one there. Well, these bricks here, they actually go right through, so you've got a tunnel basically between this row and that. Where is it? There. So there's a gap between there, and then it's solid all the way along, and then where the fireplaces would have been, where it was obviously open, so it sent all the heat one way or the other. Clever those Victorians. Yeah. Now these walls here, we think there was probably greenhouses on these walls, which they would have had when they were built. I think we can tell by the state of the brickwork on these. It's totally different from the walls that were obviously which were clear of anything. But we think there was a greenhouse here. This end bit just here, the other side of the door, and probably on the other wall there as well. This is our root bed. These are carrots. We've got loads of carrots here. We've got a row of nettles there, there is parsnips in between somewhere. They're notoriously bad germinators, parsnips, and they haven't been very good this year. I think it's been too dry, to be honest. And the two tunnels which we used, that one last year was full up with tomatoes and cucumbers, etc. We've tried we overwintered stuff in there, and basically we were trying to see what we could grow in there, and marginally successful in the fact we discovered we can grow almost anything in there, which doesn't really help. But we've got broad beans in there which look as though they're going out the top of the roof. We've got peas which are overwintered. We've had lettuce in here which are overwintered, which are all gone. We've got cabbages in there which are nearly all gone. We've sold most of those. We've got cauliflower, we've got carrots, beetroot, radishes, spring onions, and more lettuce. So there's a lot of stuff in there. And we've recorded everything when we put it in there and how long it's taken to grow, so we can know, what we can grow. This one is filled with, will be filled. We've got some courgettes in here, we've got some lettuces and some cucumbers, and these trays will be planted out when down this middle row here, and all the other in the rest of the place we've got. Sweet corn ready there to go out before very long. So that's that one.
Okay, so there's two parts to the farm. We, Andrew, myself and Alan, are the tenants of the farm, and it is our project to farm the farm in as much as we are producing beef and pork, and we're replanting the wall garden. The larger project incorporates the village trust, Woodhouse Community Farm Limited, who at the moment are an industrial providence society, but in the future may become a charity. And they are taking on the Grade 2 listed buildings and developing those for educational access and looking at local food. They're in a second round of a lottery bid, which will help develop this building that we're in and make it into 2 classrooms plus a kitchen area for future use. So in today's agriculture, farms have grown very large, and really to sell their produce they have to go to places like the supermarkets. We want to reverse the policy by having this small farm, 22 acres, be sustainable And to be able to do that, we need a commitment from the community to buy into the yield of our produce that we're buying, or we're making, or growing. So we are using a system called community supported agriculture. This is where the community takes some of the burden away from the farmer by making that commitment to prepay for their monthly produce in advance. And we're looking at 2 boxes, a large box which will have a minimum of 8 produce, and a small box which would have a minimum of 6 produce. The produce would be available all year round. You have got periods like at the moment, May and June, where you have a hunger gap, which that is when you sort of will have your minimum, your 6 or your 8. Your small box is thought to be for 1 or 2 people, your large box being for a small family of 3 or 4. So you set up a direct debit to pay in advance your monthly fee, and then we're encouraging people to come down to the farm each week, either on a Tuesday or a Saturday, to pick up their cut of the crop, as we're calling it. And we would encourage people to work together. So if somebody local to you also has a cut, then work it so that only one of you has to come down, and that way it's not so onerous on you. We also, as part of the scheme, will be producing a newsletter, having social events, and asking people to commit to 3-hour work session where they can help us in times when we need a little bit more labour. You know, if we're picking black currants or, you know, peas, things that are quite labour intensive, but hopefully would be fun as well.